Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There it is, so you don't miss any of our football content this season. It has been, if I might say, fantastic. Hi, everybody, and welcome in. In about 10 minutes, we'll have Chad Milman, which we do sharp or square, where I give him about 7 or 8 of my picks, and he chews them up and spits them out. And I'm taking more and more favorites these days, as I think you do get to a point in the season where the better teams separate, the better coaches separate, everybody gets banged up. It's a war of attrition at this point. You see all these players dropping. Sometimes Davante Adams, a player goes out, comes back in. He had a touchdown. So the Jets beat the Texans 21-13 on Halloween. The Jets dressed up as a pretty good football team. Aaron Rodgers, I thought, played, especially, in the second half. I thought he played pretty well. I've seen that so many times this year where a quarterback, Brock Purdy against the Cowboys, Russell Wilson a couple of times, Aaron Rodgers tonight, where they just can't get it right in the first half. And then they get warmed up. And I thought Aaron played a really good second half. When you have Breece Hall, when you have Davante Adams, when you have Garrett Wilson, those are real weapons. If you can get decent protection. Aaron had a nice run tonight. It got called back because of a holding on the rookie from Penn State, but that was a really nice run. He had 211 yards, 22 of 32, 3 TDs, no picks. I like the Jets tonight. That was one of my stronger plays. It would have been my first or second strongest play if it was on Sunday. And I think the reality of this game, it was a really bad spot for a beat-up Texans team that can't protect C.J. Stroud. So the Jets had 8 sacks tonight, which is about double what teams had been getting against Houston, but they're down to Tank Dell and a bunch of third and fourth level receivers. So it was a good spot for the Jets. And what's interesting for the Jets, and this is why this win matters. So yeah, 2 of their wins, short week at home, Patriots and Texans. But now think about this. It's an advantage because the Jets are not going to win a division. We know the Bills are going to win the division. The Ravens will eventually win their division. The Chiefs will win their division. Colts, Texans will go back and forth, but this is key. The Jets only hope to get into the playoffs is as a wild card team. And right now, unless they go on a losing streak, Pittsburgh looks like it will be one of those wild card teams, but there's 2 other wild card spots. And the good news is the Jags could be one of those teams. The Jets play them. The Colts could be one of those teams. Jets host them in a couple of weeks. The Texans could be one of those teams. The Jets just beat them. So it looks like to me, the 3 playoff teams in the AFC we know are Bills. Ravens will make it. They're just too good unless Lamar got hurt. And the Chiefs. And then you're going to be battling the Colts, the Jags, the Texans, the Chargers, the Steelers for 3 wild card spots. And you've already got a W over the Texans and you get the Colts at home. You also get the advantage when you play on a Thursday night. You get 4 days extra rest against your next opponent. That's Arizona. So they'll have to travel out to the desert in Arizona, but you got extra rest. Arizona plays a very physical Chicago Bears team, a really good defense for the Chicago Bears off a humiliating loss. So I'm sure the Bears, that's going to be a physical game against Arizona. You're going to be more rested, more prepared. With a veteran quarterback and Aaron Rodgers coming off a very good outing. The more he plays with Davante Adams, the better it's going to work. So they've got the pieces. I don't think they're a brilliantly coached team. But I've said this before. There's 3 really good teams in the AFC. Then, it's pretty mushy in the wild card race. Miami's not as good as we thought. DraftKings is offering $1 million a day in bonus bets for the first 10 days of the NBA season. That's $10 million in bonus bets. Here's how to shoot your shot. Opt in, get a daily NBA profit boost token. You pick a pregame NBA player prop to boost. If that player leads the league that night in points, rebounds, assists, you win a share of $1 million in bonus bets. Just download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. The code is Colin, C-O-L-I-N, to win a share of $1 million in bonus bets if your player is king of the court. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Chargers they have very limited firepower. Unless they make a trade at the deadline, the Chargers are going to be in a bunch of close games. If they play the Jets tomorrow, it would be a close game. I mean, the Chargers just can't beat anybody badly. They don't have any playmakers. Ladd McConkey, the rookie, is like a 2. He's twitchy and clever, but he's not a burner. He's not an over-the-top guy. doesn't have huge separation in the NFL. So, I mean, it's what do I think about the Jets? Well, they ran for about 100 yards tonight. Uh, Aaron was comfortable. Aaron had time to throw, and the schedule works out. Extra rest for Arizona, Colts, Seattle at home, Rams later at home. I mean, only one team the Jets play the rest of the way right now has a winning record, the Buffalo Bills, and they're not winning the division, so they don't have to worry about Buffalo. So it's all right in front of you. Listen, I like C.J. Stroud, but he's down to second and third tier receivers. They can't protect him. Joe Mixon's a hell of a player. That was his number one weapon tonight. But Jets win 21-13. And, I was thinking about this. I was talking to J-Mac on the phone tonight. He was out with his kids doing Halloween. So I live in a place without a lot of kids coming up. So I went out for a walk and saw all the kids in the neighborhood out having a good time. But when I came back, I was talking to J-Mac, and, New York has just had a really rough stretch for a decade in sports. I mean, the Yankees, it really wasn't competitive against the Dodgers. It really wasn't. They won a single game. Both the Padres and the Mets matched up better against the Dodgers than the Yankees did. The Yankees won one game, and it was a bullpen game by the Dodgers. They went 0-2 in the games in which Garrett Cole pitched. They're just, again, they can beat the Guardians. But the Yankees, they just don't match up to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers were beat up. They'll be a significantly better and healthier team next year. The Giants and the Jets, at least one of them has Aaron Rodgers and Quinnen Williams. The Knicks are a nice story, but I don't think they're in the class of the Celtics. So it's been rough. I mean, the Mets have a rich owner, and Francisco Lindor is a remarkable player, but they have good players and one great player. So, I mean, people, you think to yourself, God, why does anybody care about the Jets? If you're in New York, I mean, because of Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, they have their moments. And like in the second half tonight, they have their moments where they look competitive. So, here's the good news for New York. Colts, Jags, Texans, all these teams that they can make up ground, and if they beat them head-to-head in the wild card race in the AFC, I don't think they're going to get there. I'll still stand by my prediction. I think the Jets are going to win 8 or 9 teams. That's what I think they are. I think they're an 8 or 9 win team. But I do think Davante Adams, like tonight in that second half, and you can see the more he and Aaron play together. And what I really liked about Aaron tonight is he was really into it. He was really into it. He had good energy in the second half. He was pumping his fist. He was fired up. And that's what you worry about with Aaron. He can be a very moody guy. And I've said I had an NFL coach tell him, a pretty famous NFL coach once say, he's just Jay Cutler with talent, is that he's kind of a moody, prickly, difficult guy. The difference is Aaron can really, when he has time to throw, really can spin it. And tonight he was in a groove. He had great energy. He played inspired, and it was fun to watch. The first half wasn't fun, but 21-13, Jets win. And it's something. 8 sacks, ran the ball effectively. Aaron had a good night. Now you have extra prep time against the Arizona Cardinals. I love this time in the NFL season because it does feel like the games get a little bit easier to predict, just because it's statistically defenses get hurt more than offenses. And, so you get a separation now. You get some finger pointing in the bad locker rooms. The quarterbacks and the best coaches feel like they separate. Now, I don't think the Jets have one of the better coached teams, but I do think offensively, and that's what this league, nobody's stopping anybody defensively. I still think the Jets miss Robert Saleh on that end. But offensively, you got to be able to score. And you start looking at the Jets pieces. If Aaron's healthy, it's something. It's not that it's better than the Giants. I mean, there are a lot of teams in worse shape than Aaron Rodgers, Breece Hall, a decent backup, Allen, the kid from Wisconsin, Garrett Wilson, and Davante Adams. There are a lot of teams in much worse shape than that. And this point forward, the offenses win in this league. I mean, you go look at January and February, the last 3 or 4 years, it's the offenses that separate. Nobody's stopping anybody late. Everybody's all dinged up on that side of the ball. And now for the next segment, halftime speech brought to you by our friends at Scott's Lawn Care. The Colts are making the right move going with Joe Flacco over Anthony Richardson. He doesn't have one game completing over 50% of his passes. He's got a top 5 running back, top 6 offensive line, good weapons, good offensive coach, and it's not working. Bet you didn't know this fall's the perfect time to feed your lawn. Give your lawn a boost with Scott's Turf Builder Winter Guard. Recover from the summer, prep for winter. Get your grass on the road to recovery. Feed your lawn Scott's Turf Builder Winter Guard this fall to build strong, deep grass roots for a better lawn next spring. Pack up a bag of Scott's Turf Builder Winter Guard today. Feed your lawn. Feed it. Listen, don't bail on CJ Stroud. His last 3 games, he has a 76 passer rating. You're dealing with second-tier wide receivers, and there's no protection. And this is like, it's like Sam Darnold. You look at him with the Jets, and you're like, he's terrible. And then you're like, oh, he goes to Minnesota, and he has a good coach, and he has good protection, and he has weapons. And God, Sam Darnold's pretty good. It's amazing how it looks. You go watch Brock Purdy without Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel's banged up. And you're like, what is he? Well, all of a sudden, second half last week, he's moving. You watch Brock Purdy now as Jennings gets healthy and McCaffrey comes back. You're going to look at him and go, oh, he's pretty. Folks, there's like 1 or 2 guys in this league, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, are about it, where it doesn't really matter who's healthy and who's not. That's about it. CJ Stroud, he hasn't reached his peak yet. He'll probably he'll go into his prime after next season. This is year 2, next year, year 3, year 4 to year 9 to 10, 6 years, prime. Won't have many surgeries at that point, still fresh, now knows the game, knows the coverages. He hadn't even reached his prime yet. So you got like second and third tier receivers, terrible protection, and it's a defensive head coach. So, he's got a coordinator, but if that coordinator leaves, that's not ideal, Bobby Slowick. So, there's 3 guys in the world that it doesn't really matter. They're just going to be wildly productive. Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. For guys like CJ Stroud, he's closer to a Sam Darnold. I think he's a better thrower of the football than Sam Darnold, and he's a better athlete and a bigger, stronger version of Brock Purdy. But in the end, there's the 3 greats, and then a lot of these guys, it's just circumstantial. And he'll be fine when they get Nico Collins back. Nico Collins is uncoverable. And they get their offensive line straightened out. But I don't sell any stock. We've seen this kid when he has support, and he's really good. Everybody in this league. Baker Mayfield has Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Oh, he's pretty good. And they get hurt. He's not as good. He just lost to Atlanta. It's the way it works for 90% of the quarterbacks in this league.